we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boy's TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. And I wanted to come in for a second to tell you guys about some of the stuff I've been reading about this whole situation with the virus and everything. It's getting worse with every passing day, as many of you can imagine, as a lot of you already know. And every day there's there's these interesting updates and dynamics that evolve from what I would consider to be nothing less than just side effects of what happens when you shut an entire economy down. I'll tell you what, I sadly kind of saw a lot of this coming, and it's only going to continue to get worse. Like, for example, every time they tell me that there's a part of the economy that's surviving the effects of the virus, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, it's gonna be okay for about another 2 weeks, and then you're gonna start to see that start to crumble too. Like, so for example, a lot of the economic experts were basically saying that the banking system was not impacted in this particular downturn the same way you had back in 07, 08. And I said, yeah, well, just wait. It's only a matter of time. Just, give it a few more minutes. You shut down the whole economy, you're eventually going to have a dead banking system. So anyway, let's see. So some people might feel like I get on their nerves with all my denial posts. Well, first of all, I want to make it 100% clear. I'm not in denial that the virus exists. We've talked about that. Here's the other thing too. I need people to stop denying that media is manipulative. Stop denying that this is not a partisan battle. People are denying that that people who disagree with them might actually have a point. Most of the time when I talk about this virus, I'm doing something the media doesn't really do very well, which is present data. I present data, particularly CDC data, things like that. Media doesn't do that. The media tells stories. That's why they call them stories. They literally, when they put something in the paper, they say this is a story. So they'll tell you a story, about one person who got sick and died, and the story is designed to, generate an emotional reaction from you. It's designed to get you to feel sad. It's also designed to get you to be afraid. 2 institutions that you got to be careful about in terms of the profitability of fear are media and politicians. Studies show that media and politicians are both aware that the more you make people afraid, the more you're going to get a reaction. When people are scared, they're tuned in to CNN. I don't know if anybody remembers back in 9/11. When 9/11 went down, everybody was mortified because people didn't know what the hell was going to happen next. And people, and I bet you that to this day, 9/11 probably gave the highest ratings ever for CNN. Like, CNN loved 9/11 because they didn't love the country being attacked. I assume that they didn't want that, but the benefit for them was that people would just turn on CNN and be on CNN all day long. So the same thing is happening now. And then with politicians, studies also show that politicians, they've tried campaigning based on positive things. They've tried campaigning based on their track record. They've tried campaigning based on the reasons why you should want to support a certain politician over another one. And they found that none of that works as well as fear and negativity. So if I want to win an election, all I got to do is tell you that my opponent is the devil. And I'm not going to tell you anything about what I do or what I can offer. I'll bring that up later. But first, I want to tell you that my opponent is the devil, and that my opponent, if you elect my opponent, the world's going to come to an end. Right? They're going to come to your house. They're going to make you into a slave. They're going to beat your whole family half to death. Right? I have to scare you. Right? So effectively, what I don't like about all of this is the fear mongering. I think that we can talk about the virus and acknowledge it without getting into some sort of a odd form of almost behavior modification, sort of mind control. Mind control. Remember, I'm marrying a psychotherapist. You know, she's an expert on the subconscious mind. She's not just an expert. She's not just a mediocre expert. She's about to be promoted to a full professor, which is like in universities, you have assistant professors, you have tenured professors, which is a big deal. Then you have full professors, which is the highest you can go up the chain. So I'm marrying a really intelligent black woman who is an expert, one of the world's leading experts on the subconscious mind. And we talk extensively about the way media works incredibly hard to control the minds of the masses. So, with that said, hit the thumbs up button, by the way. If you're watching the Black Financial Channel, make sure you hit the thumbs up button and make sure you subscribe and all that good stuff. And don't forget that we have Black Movie Night next week. You guys know that we're building a Black Hollywood, and we want to do that by making movies and supporting Black filmmakers. So we have Black Movie Night every 2 or 3 weeks. You can go to blackmovienight.net to sign up for the next one. That's blackmovienight.net. It's totally free, totally free. All right, so here's the most recent data, and here's what's going on now in terms of side effects that are occurring that have to be acknowledged. Again, if people feel that somehow my sort of presenting data and facts is a denial of the impact of the virus, that fine, think what you want, but I need you to stop denying that people are going to starve to death and die if you don't let them have their jobs back at some point. If you don't find a pathway back to recovery, people are going to die. Children are going to suffer. I need you to stop denying that people will run out of money, that people can't pay their rent, people are going to get evicted. Like, seriously, if you think I'm denying the virus, then fine, then stop denying that people are going through hell and that most people are not impacted at all by any of this. I'm a mathematician. My master's degree is in math. I taught math at the University of Kentucky, so I know what that 2 + 2 is 4, right? Even when media tells me 2 + 2 is 7, I'm like, no, that doesn't. I did the math. It's actually 4. Y'all need to go check your numbers here. So let me give you some math that'll just kind of help put this into context so that we can look at this based on reality and not spin. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican. All that matters is that you care about your family and you want to know the truth. Here are the facts right now as they stand. The numbers are changing. The virus, the growth of the virus is real. You got to watch it, right? A virus is something, one of the things I studied extensively in math is the impact of exponential growth. One of the reasons I talk to you guys a lot about investing is because investing involves viral exponential growth in your asset base. That's why I tell you guys to invest because investing, your wealth grows with the same mathematical equations that a virus expands. Right? Albert Einstein actually was baffled. He said the greatest force in the universe is not gravity or black holes. He said it's compound interest. He said because compound interest, the fact that it grows virally, it's such an extraordinary way, really is just astonishing to him. So viruses grow the same way compound interest grows, right? And so with viruses, the reason that you want to monitor the numbers and the reason that you want to be careful when a virus like this pops up is because you don't want to underestimate the potential impact of the virus, right? You don't want to pretend like it's not a factor and that it can't suddenly explode. You have to be smart in terms of containing it. So, so here with this particular virus, what you're dealing with is a situation where we have to make sure it doesn't get out of hand, but it's not even coming close to having a type of impact that would warrant this level of panic and chaos and shutdown. It just doesn't. It's fascinating that if you're a Democrat, you think this is the end of the world and that we should never ever go back to work again. I don't know where these people are getting their money from. I don't know if they just have if they're independently wealthy. I mean, a lot of the liberals that talk about income inequality are interesting people, because a lot of them at the top of the chain are actually multimillionaires, right? They're multimillionaires who are not going to give their money away. And also a lot of the liberals who talk about this inequality. I've seen people do analysis on how a lot of these individuals will get their kids into the Ivy League schools even when the kids don't have the credentials, right? So they talk about this meritocracy and this fairness and all that, when the reality is that they fully acknowledge the inequities of America, they acknowledge the unfairness of America, and they benefit from the unfairness of America. There's studies that show that a bunch of Democratic Party leadership in Congress, they're all getting their kids into these Ivy League schools, and their kids are not having to go through what your kids are going through. They're not taking the same tests. They don't have to get the same scores. They don't have to have the same GPA. And so if you want to just get past the BS of it all, everybody sees it with the system for what it is. I just want black people to be able to benefit. I want us to create our own systems where we can make the inequality work in our favor, because somehow we're the ones that are led to believe that inequality is real, or that equality is a possibility. It's not a possibility. It's not going to happen. So going back to this whole thing with the virus, I think that that those who are saying, we should never ever go back to work, or that there shouldn't even be a conversation about the economy opening back up again. I would say that if you are a person who's economically secure, you don't really have a right to really speak on this, in my opinion. I just don't believe that. Like I'm economically secure. I can stay home forever. I was already quarantined before this all went down. Alicia and I will be fine. But I have to defer to a family that is actually struggling. I have to defer to families that don't have enough food in the pantry, enough money in the bank, things like that. And I help out as many people as I can. I can't help everybody, but I'm seeing people that are really going through it. That they're really, they needed that damn job. And I think it's just disingenuous and just incredibly insensitive for us to not care about that, and to say, no, we must completely eradicate this virus before, we go back to whatever we were doing before. Well, first of all, it's not going to get eradicated. It's never going to go away. Viruses are everywhere. People for hundreds of years, or at least dozens of years anyway, have been predicting that viruses are actually the thing that are going to take us out. It won't be. They claim it won't be nuclear weapons or global warming. It'll be a virus, because viruses have been fighting with bacteria for billions of years, long before humans ever came into existence. So here's what's going on. Here's the specifics in terms of numbers, in terms of how much this virus is actually impacting people right now. Number one, if you do the math, 1 in 471 people have the virus. So that means that if you have 471 people in a room, one of them will have the virus, right? So now I want to answer this question. Now here's the thing though. But everybody in the room, all 471 people in that room, are going to believe that they might catch it, right? All 471 people in that room are going to be wearing masks. They're going to be scared of each other. They're not going to want to shake anybody's hand or hug anybody, because they're going to be afraid they're going to die, right? But only 1 out of 471 of those people will have that virus. So I want you to imagine a room with 471 people in it. That's a pretty big room. That's a pretty big crowd, right? And let's say that I said out of all 471 of you, one of you is going to get $1,000. Right? Do you believe that you are going to be that one person? Give me a yes or no. Like, would you bet your ass? Would you bet the life of your children? Would you bet your job? Would you bet all the money in your bank account that you're going to be that one person out of 471? Would you expect yourself to be that one person that wins the $1,000? Yes or no? Give me a yes or no. Well, the answer is obviously no. In fact, if you want to be more precise, let me do a calculator here. Let me see. 1 divided by 471. What is that? That is 0.002. So you'd have a 0.2% chance. 0.2% chance of winning the contest. Okay? So what this says to me is that, at least right now, again, things can change, right? That's why you got to be careful. But things can change. But right now, it's very hard to find anybody that you know who has the virus. I mean, don't get me wrong. We all, there's what they call degrees of separation. Most black people are only 2 or 3 degrees of separation from each other, right? That means that, if there's any person I know, chances are most of you know somebody who knows somebody who knows that person. Like, right? Because you think about it, if you look at all the people, look at your Facebook friends. Let's say you have 400 Facebook friends, and each of your 400 Facebook friends has 400 Facebook friends. Well, what's that? That's 4,000. That's 40,000. That's 160,000 people right there. Is that right? Did I do the math right? I think that's right. That seems like such a big number. And then each of those 160,000 people has 400,000 or 400 friends, right? On average, right? You're talking about a big, gigantic number. You're talking about over at least a million people or more, a couple million people or something. It's a big number, right? Do you follow what I'm saying? So the reason I think a lot of people feel like it's just everywhere and everybody's getting it is because everybody has a friend who has a friend who knows a friend or whatever that it happened to. Or my friend's grandma, got it and died, things like that. And I'm not saying that that's not relevant and real. I'm just saying that what happens is you can engage in an irrational level of fear in terms of, really feeling like it's connected to you when it's really not. Like the opposite of that is what they call irrational exuberance. Alan Greenspan, the former chairman of the Federal Reserve, wrote a book called Irrational Exuberance, where he talked about people's irrational excitement when it comes to investing and how that pushes prices up. Well, you can also have irrational fear, where you may only have a 1 in 1,000, 1 in 500 chance of something happening to you, but if you're a person that just carries fear and you operate on fear and you live on that low fear frequency, then you think everything bad can happen to you. You watch the news, you see that somebody across town got raped and murdered, you think, oh my God, that can happen to me. So you behave as if you think that's going to happen to you, or that there's a strong possibility. So anyway, by the way, I see Coach Tanisha says my cousin died. I'm very, very sorry about your cousin. So I want to make sure we have these conversations with complete sensitivity to everybody. I want to have sensitivity to the dead, and I want to have sensitivity to the living, who many of whom are going to be dead if you allow the poverty epidemic to get out of control. If you let families starve to death, you're going to have more dead people. And so I think that you can have a balance. I think that you can acknowledge what the virus can do. I think you can protect people, in a very careful way, and still have an economy at the same time. You don't have to starve people to death in order to protect yourself. So this is just straight math. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at the numbers. 1 in 471 people have the virus. So if you went out today and said, I'm going to make sure I catch that virus today. I got to do everything I can to catch the virus. I'm going to go hug everybody I see. I'm going to kiss people on the cheek. I'm going to get really close to people all day long. I'm going to go have sex with a couple strangers. If you did that, you still would probably not get the virus because it's very, very hard to catch. The second thing is, if you want to know the odds of you dying, and this is thrown in healthy, unhealthy people, everybody together, the odds of dying from the virus are 1 in 9,000. 1 in 9,000. So you have a 1 in 471 chance of catching the virus, but given that most people that catch it actually recover, you have a 1 in 9,000 chance of dying. Now, and here's the other thing too. The media should just at least make sure they mention this so people don't get scared half to death. Most of the people that die, I've looked at the data very closely. I go to the CDC website on a regular basis. I go to Johns Hopkins website. I go to the World Health Organization website. So this is not me giving you my opinion. This is me giving you facts and giving you data. The media has been incredibly reckless in terms of not giving you facts and data to back up what they're saying to you. They're just giving you stories. I'm not here to give you a story. A story can be based on a falsehood or based on a specific perception or a specific political spin. I'm here to give you facts. Facts don't give a shit about whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, or whether you like Donald Trump or you like Barack Obama. So one of the things that they're not mentioning is that that the vast majority, the overwhelming majority of the people that are dying from the virus are very, very, very old or very, very, very sick. The virus is definitely contagious. If somebody has it and they want to give you a kiss, I would probably say no. I wouldn't give a kiss to somebody who's got the virus. right? Now, Alicia and I already made an agreement. We already said, look, if one of us got it, then both of us just gonna get it. We're gonna have to help. We're gonna have to help each other get back, nurse each other back to health, right? Because I told her, I said, look, I'm not quarantining myself away from you no matter what. So we made a pact. Like, look, if one of us got it, then the other one's gonna take care of the other one, and we just gonna both have to fight through this. Because 80% of the people that get it actually don't even have any symptoms. They get better, they heal, it's fine, right? So here's where we are. When you're talking about all the people that are facing hunger, there's now the stories are starting to shift. The stories before were, death, chaos everywhere, and some of that is relevant. I mean, 37,000 people. 37,000 deaths in the big picture of things, when you compare that, for example, to the fact that over 250,000 people died from diabetes, which is easily preventable, but it affects a lot of your families. I think it's a little bit strange to be incredibly sensitive to death and suffering when it comes to the virus, but you were never sensitive to death and suffering when it came to diabetes, or never sensitive when it comes to the fact that 1 in 6 Americans die from heart disease, or when I had people last month who were attacking me which it doesn't, I don't give a shit. It doesn't bother me at all, I promise you. But they were really mad at me because I said Lizzo should not, I don't like the idea that she's not just engaging in coonery, but she's mass marketing obesity, the merits of obesity. I had a lot of people that said I was fat shaming. Well, all those people who said I was fat shaming, you have to really check yourself, because you're a little bit hypocritical now, because one of the greatest risk factors in things like heart disease and diabetes is obesity. And so, so if you're running around here saying that you're mad at me because you think I should cry a little more over a couple thousand people that died from a coronavirus, I get that. I understand that. But why were you not sensitive at all to the hundreds of thousands of people who've died from heart disease and diabetes? Because we're mass marketing obesity like it's a good thing. Like, we're talking about it like if somebody brings it up, you're fat shaming them. So think about this. You're a hypocrite right now. You showed no sensitivity when all those people were dying from diabetes and heart disease, but now suddenly you got all these tattoo tears for the coronavirus. What you're doing, what you're showing me is that you're not a person who really knows who you are. You're not a person that knows where you stand. You're not a person that really knows what you actually believe in. I'm clear about what I believe in. I could give a shit less. I'm confident in my intellect to the point where a million people, 99.9% of all people could believe this. But if the data tells me that it's actually that's true, I have no problem saying, I know y'all think it's this, but actually I looked at the data and it says that y'all think that's true. No. I know 99.9% of y'all think that's true, but no, I actually think this is true. So to me, those bandwagon fly by night, follow the trend type people who are allowing your perception of the virus to be driven by media, or to be driven by what's popular, or to be driven by what sounds politically correct, y'all need to just sit down and educate yourself, because right now, honestly, you sound like you're full of shit. Seriously, how the hell are you going to tell me, well, you're not sensitive because you're not crying over the coronavirus, whatever. How are you going to say that to me now, when just a month ago you were cheering on obesity, which has killed 10 times more people this year than coronavirus ever could? It's not consistent. If you care about life, you should care about life. Seriously, so just stop it. So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. Also, if you want to learn to buy your first share of stock, you can learn for free from the Black Business School. Go to firstshareofstock.com. That's firstshareofstock.com. You can learn for totally free. I make a little offer to invite you to join my mini class at a great discount. But if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. It's totally free. So go to firstshareofstock.com. So let's see here. Margaret Hudson. Here's a tip. Thank you for your donation, by the way. Here's a tip called The African Diaspora is Building Our Own Black Communities, Unify and Join. Absolutely. I love it. Thank you. Thank you, sister. Arrow says you are amazing. Thank you for your donation. You are amazing also. Anybody that wants to help us grow the platform, we'd love to have you as a patron in our League of Intelligent Black People. So feel free to go to intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. So going back to this, let's dig into this. Here are the facts. Right now, You're starting to see people protesting around the country, which this is another thing I knew was eventually going to happen. I don't think people are going to allow you to lock them in their houses with no money and no food. Like send them a check for $1,200 and be like, okay, that should hold you over for the year. I mean, that ain't gonna work. So the obvious solution is, well, no, maybe instead of $1,200 one time, we should give them a lot more money. Well, America don't work like that. America is a stingy, greedy, capitalist country that doesn't even have the resources to give everybody enough money to survive for the rest of the year. They just don't. They don't care, And I hate that. It really sucks. I wish we had a different kind of government in that way. And we know Trump is not a great president. I don't think he is anyway. Biden actually is a man who's probably going senile. The media is not real. The media is hiding this. They're pretending like they're not noticing. But there are some members of the media who are brave enough to actually step out and say, look, this man. Did y'all know? Give me a yes or no if you knew. Did you know that he forgot Barack Obama's name? There was a journalist who said that he was talking about Barack Obama and couldn't remember his name, and then he mentioned that he was a candidate for Senate instead of president. He forgot that what he was running for, what office he was running for, and then he said something. He said something like, he said, "We believe in truth over facts," or something. It was something really weird. And anyway, so Biden, this man, mentally, he ain't really there. He's not the guy. I think that somebody is going to. I'm wondering, is it too late for somebody else to step in and just run for instead of him? I'd be curious if Michelle Obama or somebody is thinking, I'm gonna step in and I'm gonna run for president because this guy ain't ready. So go look it up. Just go research it. Don't take my word for it. Just check it out. The man up here is a little bit gone. We know Trump been gone. Trump's been an ass since 1985. You kind of knew what you were gonna get with him. But Biden, he's sharp when he's sharp, but he's really doing a lot of things on the campaign trail that are a little bit strange. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I want to say thank you to Deidra. She says, thanks for what you do, Dr. Boyce. Well, thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. How do you donate? You can't donate on Instagram, but if you'd like to donate and support the channel, you can do so at intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. You can become a patron for any amount that you'd like. I'm not pressuring you guys to do it, but it does help us to pay bills and keep things going. So anyway, here's what's going on now. You've got, because now you've got people that are hungry. That can't afford to pay the bills, that are getting evicted. You're starting to see protests. Texas, Minnesota, and Michigan are at the top of the list. I think you're going to start seeing protests pretty much in every state. You have so you have a lot of people facing hunger. At the same time, I think 17 million people, they said, could be facing hunger as a result of the virus. 17 million is a big number. And so if you want to know my solution, if I were president of the United States tomorrow, here's what I would propose. I would propose this. I would propose, number one, we have to eventually give people a way to make money. We can't keep them in their houses forever. That's not going to work. I would first invest heavily in testing. I would test everybody. I would try to see if we can innovate. I don't know what the innovation level is in that industry, but can't we come up with some test that you can give people on the spot that doesn't involve sticking that swab all the way up to their nose to where it's touching their brain or whatever? I don't know if y'all seen that swab test where they stick that thing way up your nose. Like, come on, man. You got to have something else. Like, if there's some little beam you can point and check their temperature or whatever. So I would come up with some process where we can literally test everybody and maybe require testing before you're even allowed to go to work. But it would have to be ongoing testing. It couldn't just be one time. It could be next week or whatever. It's okay. It's okay, Nay. You don't. Or Ema says, "I'm not taking your medical advice." Well, it's okay. You don't have to take my medical advice. I'm actually reciting from doctors. I talk to doctors. A lot of y'all who are just listening to media, stop listening to media and start listening to doctors. I've been listening to doctors. I've been looking up data on the CDC, the World Health Organization, and also there's another. Johns Hopkins Hospital, Mayo Clinic. Sorry, Mayo Clinic has really great resources as well. So So stop taking advice from your stupid ass friends. Stop listening to the biased media, and stop listening to biased politicians, because they're all going to fit a narrative. I wouldn't be surprised if they're really trying to wreck the economy to win the next election. It would not surprise me one bit if they were like, you know what, it doesn't matter if the American public all starves to death, as long as they blame the other party. As long as they're blaming the Republicans, then that's great. Because they do stuff like that. These politicians don't care about you. The evidence shows that. That's why Congress has such a low approval rating, because they don't really care if the country goes to hell in a handbasket. They don't. Because if they cared, they wouldn't let the national debt get to an unsustainable level. The national debt is so high that eventually we won't be able to pay it anymore. Right? If they really cared about the country, they wouldn't let the infrastructure fall apart, let the educational system go to shit, let the healthcare system turn into garbage, where you're paying all this money. Let the student loan crisis happen, where a bunch of y'all, probably 30-40% of y'all right in this room are going to die in debt because the student loans are so high and unpayable. Right? If they really cared about the country, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't be taking care of the special interests over the people. So at the end of the day, it wouldn't surprise me one bit at all if somebody said, we want people to suffer, and we want them to suffer under Trump so that Trump doesn't get elected in November, and then we'll get to be the heroes and everything else. That's not, and that bothers me. That really bothers me. I didn't vote for Trump. I'm not going to vote for Trump in the next election. I didn't vote for Hillary either. I'm not voting for the Democrats either. I don't vote for anybody. But my belief is that if you care about this country, you're going to work with whatever leader is in power. You might just say, look, I can't be in power this time, but maybe next time. But for now, we got to do what's best for the country. So I'm going to find a way to work with you so that we can all keep this thing going, keep this thing called America safe and secure and everything else. Anyway, let's keep going. So here's the solution. I think a lot of testing, test. I think that you quarantine the vulnerable populations. You don't have to quarantine everybody, because here's the deal. When you look at the statistics, again, I'm reciting data. I'm not reciting spin. If you want spin, go to CNN or Fox or MSNBC. I'm reciting data. The data says that the most vulnerable population are people over the age of 85. How many of you, give me a yes or no in the chat. Give me a yes or no in the chat if you are over the age of 85. How many of you, yes or no, are you over the age of 85? If you are, say yes. If you are not, say no. How many of you are over the age of 85? The answer in the chat. Give me a yes or no. Okay, I see Ron and Rahman and Elijah says no. Okay, I see some no's. Any yeses? Okay, Jonathan, no. Okay, I'm seeing no. Okay, Robert says yes. Okay. Well, Robert, we going to quarantine Robert. Everybody pray for Robert, because the virus it's preying on people in Robert's age group. 85 and up, it's hitting that population very, very hard. But here's the good news for you, Robert. Here's the good news for your great-grandparents. Actually, if you are over the age of 85, even though you are in the highest risk group that there is, if you got the virus, you're still actually expected statistically to survive. You're expected to survive, actually, because only 10 to 27% of people over the age of 85 who catch the virus actually die. So that means if you have 4 85-year-olds in a room and all of them have corona, don't start planning their funerals right away. Only one of them is going to die. 3 of them are going to survive. Okay, and that's for the highest risk group out there, right? Okay, so if you go down to 75 to 85, it drops to about, I think, 5%. So that means if you have, if you have 100, if you have 20 75-year-olds in a room, 20 people that are 75 years old that are infected, one of them out of the 20 is going to die. The other 19 are going to survive. Do you follow me? Does that make sense? I'm a statistician. My master's was in mathematical statistics, in case you want to know why I love statistics. I'm really, I pay attention to facts and data. I know that that's not popular. I know people want to create their own facts, but I don't do that. I'm giving you facts. All right, so then when you go below 65 to 75, it starts to drop even further. I think it was 3%, something like that. Below 65, it's less than 1%. Scratch that. Wait, 65 to 75. Yeah, below 65, And then actually, let's just to be 100% clear, if you are look at the age bracket between 20 and 54, less than 1% of the people who are infected actually die. So that means that if you're a 30-year-old and you get it, and there are 100 30-year-olds who are all infected, one of them is going to die, and that's on a bad day. Just one out of the 100 that are infected. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so what we need to do is, instead of quarantining everybody, there's no reason to quarantine the 20-year-old. I mean, unless you want to keep him away from his grandparents. That's what you need to do. You need to keep him away from his grandparents, maybe for a while, or have him tested before he can go see grandma, or he just have to Skype grandma for a while, or whatever. That's what we do. We, the grandparents want to see the kids, the grandkids that are in our house, and we just say, look, we're gonna have to Zoom the kids to y'all, unless and until you feel comfortable having them back in the house. Right, we don't think they have anything, but they could, so let's just Zoom for a while, right? So you quarantine the vulnerable population. So you quarantine those who are in the senior citizen category. You also quarantine people that have pre-existing conditions. So that means, and now, unfortunately, one of them is like stuff like diabetes and heart disease, stuff like that. That's why a lot of black people are dying from it, is because, again, the same sensitivity we're showing for the virus, the same fear we have for the virus, we don't have that sensitivity and fear when it comes to things like diabetes or the things that cause us to have heart disease and stuff like that. Because really, if we were really for real serious about health and safety, if we were for real serious about the preservation of life, if we were really serious about keeping people safe and healthy and everything else, then we would have already dealt with a lot of these things in terms of just the food that we eat. When I said Lizzo shouldn't be promoting obesity, mass promoting obesity as if it's a good thing, people should have been cheering. But instead, because people are more comfortable, or that people are more interested in being comfortable and happy than they are in actually being prepared, people got mad and said, how dare you attack Lizzo, for saying that it's okay to be obese. Well, I'm saying no, I don't think it's okay for her to say that, yeah, it's good for you to position yourself where you're going to be the first to die when something like Corona hits your community. Seriously. I heard my sister always says, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. And the reason that more of our people are being taken by this virus than anybody else is because we ain't ready. We don't get ready and stay ready. We try to get ready after the shit done hit the fan, after the disaster occurs. We like to react to the problem after the chaos has ensued, instead of listening to those who tell us, hey y'all, we need to get ready, because if we get ready, if we stay ready, we ain't got to get ready. So let's get ready so we can stay ready, so that we ain't trying to get ready after all the chaos ensues, right? But no, nobody listens to that, because preparation is boring. Nobody wants to do that. Preparation is never as much fun as the party. That's why even during the quarantine, have you noticed that the most popular places that black people love to go are the DJ spots, where you got some DJ who's doing a club quarantine, y'all, right? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. You can party, you can have fun. But if you want to ever know, if you ever want to know why it always seems that we're a day late and a dollar short, if you ever want to know why people can just sneak up on us and take us out at any time, if you ever want to know why people can come up behind us and cut our throat and we don't even know it is coming, it's because we don't put a lot of energy in preparing for the future. We just don't. It's the same reason that a lot of our people don't even want to invest. We'll go buy a Popeye's chicken sandwich in a second. We'll line up out the door down the block for a Popeye's chicken sandwich that's going to give you a big ass diabetes and heart disease and all that stuff, and make you vulnerable to the coronavirus, right? Make you literally make you a sitting duck for any virus that might come along. But yet, when somebody comes along and I'm like, hey, that money you put into the Popeye's chicken sandwich, you should probably be buying some assets for your kids, at least to get some damn life insurance. Oh, Dr. Boyce, you hating. Why you hating, Dr. Boy? You being too serious, Dr. Boy. No, I'm trying to prepare you for the future, man. Like, first of all, that chicken sandwich gonna kill you. And then number two, if you don't invest for your kids, then your kids are gonna starve to death. And let me stop. I'm getting too carried away. What I'm saying to you overall is that, I understand the emotion. I respect that. Emotion is important. I'm an emotional person, as you can tell. I get emotional when I'm talking about the stuff I'm talking about. I get very emotional because it makes me mad. I think that the biggest curse that I have to deal with every day is that because I'm 48 and not 28, and because I have a PhD and not a GED, there are things that I can see that some maybe other people might have a hard time seeing, right? And it doesn't mean I'm better than anybody. I'm not saying that I'm smarter than anybody naturally or at any level, whatever. But I can see things. I see things, and sometimes being able to see things in a certain way almost makes you like the crazy person in the movie who can see a ghost, and so they see the ghost coming and they're reacting to the ghost and they're like, get away, watch out, the spirits are coming, and people think that person's insane, right? They think they're crazy. So a lot of people think I'm insane. They think I'm an asshole. They think I'm being too mean or too brash because I'm seeing things and I'm warning people. I'm trying to talk, and there are some people who believe. There are what you might even call them the believers if you want to, right? The people that are like, okay, well, if Dr. Boy sees it, there might be something to that. I'm gonna hear what he's got to say. But then you've got what I would almost call the arrogant, ignorant assholes, who literally will argue you into the ground as if it's not real. You could provide data, it don't matter. You could provide facts, it don't matter. You provide evidence, it don't matter. You provide case studies, it don't matter. You provide anecdote after anecdote, and you say, look, every time black people don't prepare for the future, the shit hits the fan, and then we're whining and crying because we feel somehow the consequences were delivered by somebody else. It's like those guys where you keep warning them, like, man, you keep sleeping with all these girls without wearing a condom, but you're going to have some child support problems and a couple of STDs to go with it. And they don't want to listen, right? It's like, oh, come on, you too serious, man. Be quiet, blah, blah, blah. And then when they sitting in child support with, 8 kids and 6 babies mamas, and the judge says, we're going to take every ounce of your check and we're going to take your stimulus check too. He want to cry about it. He wants to cry. Right? And I'm like, well, why are you crying? Like, you weren't crying when you were sleeping with all those women. You weren't crying when I was trying to talk to you about the consequences of your choices. So I think that we have to sort of, commit ourselves to understanding that there's a connection between what you do and what happens to you. There's a connection between how much you prepare and how prepared you are. So the reason that this particular virus is hitting our people more than it's hitting everybody else is largely because there isn't enough attention paid to the types of food that we're putting into our bodies. We know that corporations love to market unhealthy food to black people. Right, we know that there's racism in that regard. Right, they push that stuff onto our community. They, the food deserts, all that. We know what they do. Right, we know what they do. The bigger question to me is, do you also know what you do? That's the issue. We know what they do. The question is, what did you do? When you have people like Byron Hurt, who made a documentary a decade ago called Soul Food Junkies. I don't know if anybody heard that documentary, but I respect him for making that film. When he talked about how soul food was killing us, giving us all these pre-existing conditions that would wipe us out with corona, did people listen? Or do people say, man, get out of here with that stuff. Pass the chicken, nigga. Seriously, like really, like is that what you heard? You know how people are. People don't want to hear about all of that. When times are good, it's when times are tough that you want to go and cry at the altar and pray to white Jesus about why you feel like God is punishing you or why you're going through the hell that you're going through. The devil's in the details, and sometimes the devil is you. Sometimes the devil that ruined your life is you. So, I think in terms of this virus, here's what I think. Here's the solution. Let's go back to the key point here. in order to reopen the economy, I think what you do in order to keep people safe, one, you test everybody, test as many people as possible. Two, you don't quarantine the whole country, you quarantine the vulnerable, you quarantine pre-existing conditions, you quarantine senior citizens, maybe you quarantine people that are just scared to death, right? So if you're just a scary person and you got $1 million in the bank, then you stay home forever, and we're going to get back to living life. So you stay in your house, and because that, I can guarantee that the best way to stay completely safe from anything that could possibly harm you is to stay in your house forever. So get rid of your car, because people die in car accidents. We don't want you to, die in a car accident. Don't jump in a swimming pool because people drown. Don't do anything because we don't want anything bad to happen to you. Okay. Also, funding. I think the government should, I think they're already doing it, but they should continue to do this. Put billions of dollars into research and supplies, for the healthcare industry. A big part of the reason that this whole thing got us hemmed up, in my opinion, is because we just, as a country, weren't ready. Black people ain't ready, because again, we promote the unhealthy lifestyle. Again, when I was talking about the Lizzo thing, a lot of people, I was really fascinated by how hard people will work to defend unhealthy behavior. Have you ever seen that? Where you've seen a Negro that will literally work harder than a field slave to defend some really ratchet shit. Have you ever seen that? Literally, for example, when people were saying, well, maybe in hip hop, maybe we shouldn't call each other the N-word. Maybe there's better words to use, right? You had black folks that were going out of their way to defend the use of the N-word. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to judge you if you use the word. I'm not. It's fine. It's you can say what you want, but I'm not going to break my neck and spend all the time, write a doctoral dissertation in order to defend the use of a word that we know is not healthy at all. Right? I'm not going to do that. Right? So, but we'll have people that will literally go out of their way to defend incredibly unhealthy behavior. So I saw people, I was just so fascinated by how defensive people were of this idea of this cartoon character called Lizzo mass promoting obesity as if it's a good thing, knowing that obesity kills probably 10 times more people every year than this virus ever will. And then a few months later, you're up here upset because black people are the first ones dying from the virus. Well, maybe you have to look at your choices in lifestyle and culture and the things that you defend. Why would you work so hard to defend something that's going to ultimately kill you and then get mad because you're dead? That don't make no damn sense. Some of our people are a little bit backward, man. It's just crazy to me. So I think, so here's what I predict is going to happen. Here's what I'm seeing. This is me keeping it 100 with you guys in terms of what I'm seeing, in, economically, politically, and otherwise. The media is playing a game with you. I think the media is going to milk this cow as long as they can. Politicians are playing a game with you. They're trying to get elected. They don't really care about you, whether you live or die. That's not really a factor. It's whether or not they get elected or not, or whether they get blamed for the crisis. They don't care that the crisis exists. They just care who gets blamed. Economically speaking, we're not going to recover from this setback for a very long time. It's going to take a very long time for us to come back from it. I believe in a couple of years, I think we're going to look back and say we should have done things different. First of all, we should have prepared. We should have been ready for this. We weren't ready. That's a problem. Secondly, I think that shutting down the entire economy for weeks and weeks and weeks and causing millions of people to lose their jobs, I think that if this were to happen again, they would not approach it the same way. They wouldn't approach it with complete fear. The Russians and the Chinese, the reason you see them kind of moving forward a little bit, and the Swedish really are moving forward, is because Russians and Chinese, they're a little less prickly about death than we are. They're used to, like the Chinese in the 1950s, they had a famine that killed 15 million people, but they kept the engine going. They were like, look, yeah, it's bad that people died, but we got to the living have to eat, so we got to keep this thing moving, right? That's how the Chinese kind of see the world. The Russians lost 27 million people during World War II, but they just kept it moving. They were like, yeah, but we still got to eat. The death is sad, but we still got to eat. So I think that the Russians and the Chinese, that's why you see them dealing with the virus a little bit differently from us. In America, if you tell people 500 people died, Americans are willing to shut down the whole country over 500 deaths. And that's not something you'll see in some other countries. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm not going to say that at all. I'm just going to say that America, one special thing that you have, a special privilege that you have by being American that other people don't have, is that you've never really dealt in this country in the last 100 years or more. You've never really dealt with a massive, massive, massive loss of life. You haven't. Even in World War I and World War II and Vietnam, we lost thousands of people. But go compare, just go research it. Go look up. Vietnam's a tiny little ass country with a population that's like a fraction of ours. Their losses were like kaboom. I mean, they had the war right there in their country, like destroying their homes and their businesses and everything. No economy, no nothing. Starvation, all of that stuff. The Americans, we lost a lot. Don't get me wrong. I mean, my dad was in Vietnam. I know a lot of brothers got lost in Vietnam. But the magnitude of loss that they experienced was just on a whole colossal scale, to the point where if the United States went through something like that, where, God forbid, we lost, 50 million people in 1 year, it would fundamentally shift everything about our culture, our psychology, and how we view the world. I mean, you'd have millions of people just in therapy for the rest of their life because they wouldn't be able to handle that level of chaos and destruction. But it builds it up. But going through tough situations like the Russians did and the Chinese did, it builds a type of resiliency that they have. That I'm not gonna say it's admirable or not admirable. You can make the decision on that, but it makes them different. It makes them very different. Like, so for them, you go tell the Chinese government, oh my God, 20,000 people died today. They're going to be like, okay. They're just, because they're thinking about the 1.2 billion that they still have that are still alive, right? And so I want to make sure I say this. Sometimes when I lay out truth and facts and information, and because people are so politically divided now, people get mad. They think I'm being insensitive or being mean. No, it's just giving you different perspectives and different points of view. And I think that, the idea that our whole country is paralyzed over 37,000 deaths, a lot of people would say that is an American thing, that Americans are just super sensitive to that kind of thing. You can't shut down Russia over 37,000 deaths. They're just not. They're just like, no, we must just drink extra vodka and keep country going. Like that's how the Russians kind of think. So God forbid, God hope that we never ever, God help us if we ever have to go through what the Russians went through in order to become that resilient, right? I don't want us to go through a situation where we lose 27 million people like the Russians did in World War II. But at some point, there's a good chance it's going to happen. I think the United States has made a lot of enemies around the world. I think our capitalism has driven us to be incredibly insensitive to other people around the globe. Where we're attacking, we destroyed Libya for no reason. That was under Obama, by the way. It was your buddy Obama who did that. We've gone to all these other countries and dropped bombs on daycares and all this other stuff. I can't help but to feel and to just be concerned that one day those chickens gonna come home to roost, and if they do, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough for a lot of our people. So anyway, I wish you all the very best. I hope that you are remaining safe. I think if you want to know my official policy in terms of all the stuff they say about washing hands and masks and social distancing, I'm gonna tell you the truth. When I go out, I don't wear a mask because I've seen the data. I know that the odds of me catching that thing are lower than my odds of being shot on a Tuesday. Like seriously, so I don't walk around with strapped with a gun because I don't think I'm gonna get shot. So I'm not gonna walk around with a mask because I'm not worried about catching the virus. But I will say that I think if that's what you got to do to feel better, then that's cool. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. You should wash your hands anyway because it's just nasty not to, and do things to keep yourself safe. Like, don't be out here having unprotected sex and all that, because I don't know if you know, 500,000 people died from AIDS and HIV this year, right? And then out of all the people that didn't die, there's lots of people that just get diseases that never go away. So, just do basic things to protect yourself. But I think that there's a point where you have to say, I'm going to live my life. That's it. I just want to live my life, and And that's what I want to do. I know I'm going to die. I've accepted that. I'm okay with that. You know, and maybe my perspective's a little bit different because when you're a little bit more public, you know, when I can literally say like millions of people know who I am or have heard my name, or you go places and people recognize you and you don't even know who they are. You don't know who's watching. You don't know who's creeping up on you. I've had to confront that possibility that, you know, maybe somebody, God forbid, somebody might want to take me out. They've taken out black men for lesser things. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to stop living, because when you stop living because you're scared to die, then you kind of might as well already be dead, because, you know, there's a big difference between being alive and really living. You know, so if you stop living because you're scared to die, then you've kind of already settled for something that is a lot like death anyway. Right? Do you follow what I'm saying? Do you follow what I'm saying? So don't live your life out of fear. Live your life out of desire for the great things that can happen to you. Be smart, protect yourself, and I think great things will come to you for that. So anyway, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for hanging out with me on Instagram. My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. You can also follow the Black Financial Channel and the Black Business School on Instagram. How do you donate? You can go to intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. Also, you can learn to buy your first share of stock at firstshareofstock.com. You can totally free. I just would like for you guys to do that for your family. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. So I want you to start staying ready by investing some basic small amount of money on a regular basis for your future, so that when you die, your kids are not going to have to do a GoFundMe campaign to bury your ass. So can we agree on that? Can I get an amen? Can you please consider that? Just so go to firstsharestock.com. The video training is really good. People love it. It's totally free, and you'll be started investing in 15 minutes. So don't let fear stop you from fulfilling your destiny, because you are meant to be exceptional. All right, I'm out of here, guys. Have a great day. Love you, and thanks for hanging out with me. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.